Saying that, would the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Zender,
Here.
Commissioner Henning, Commissioner Jarvis,
Here.
Commissioner Steiner,
Here.
Chair Roy.
Here, we always start our meeting with a prayer and a pledge of allegiance. Lenny, you want to do the prayer this morning?
Certainly. Heavenly Father, thank you for gathering us here together this morning as a free people to discuss the business of the county. We are so privileged to call the creator of all things Father, and we thank you for that. We are so blessed to have this country, to have this great community, to have this time as free people to discuss the business. As we look among our community, Lord, we know that there are people hurting. We are so excited and thankful for this holiday season. We hope that those among us can keep in mind the reason for the season, and we thank you for your saving grace. We also know, Lord, that this is a difficult time sometimes for folks during the holiday season who are hurting and facing challenges, and we ask for a special prayer blessing upon all of them. Lord, we ask for a blessing upon all of our staff who serve all of our community, especially those that put themselves in harm's way for us. And we ask for a special blessing for all the travelers during the season. We ask for your blessing and your hand of protection upon all of our troops, especially those away from their families in foreign lands fighting for freedom. Please bring them home safe and soon to us victorious. Lord, I also ask for a blessing upon all of those up here on the dais who are ending their service as commissioners and guide their steps as they move forward in their next chapters. And for all those incoming that are going to be taking our place, to give them wisdom and good grace and good spirit to serve the people of this community. Lord, we thank you for all your blessings, and we give all of this prayer in your holy name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before the board, you'll see today's agenda. Are there any additions to this agenda? Jackie?
No.
Quinn?
No.
Chairman, Personnel Committee met this morning on one issue, and so personnel is already on the agenda as 4B. I would just ask that there be two items on there. 4B1 would be the proposed motion referred from last week that's already on the agenda, and then number 2 would be animal control. And I would move the agenda with that change.
Support.
We have a motion by Snyder and support by Henning. All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Brings us down, consideration of draft minutes of December 8th, 2022, Committee of the Whole meeting.
Jarvis, motions. Approve it.
Zender supports it. Motion by Jarvis, support by Brian Zender. All in favor of the motion, they can say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Gotta make sure in the future for the clerk that you do it right. We gotta make sure we mention who makes a motion, and we gotta make sure we mention who does the other. Okay, review of overnight travel requests and grant applications and budget amendments are distributed and viewed throughout the meeting. If anyone sees anything needs changing when they review those, let me know. We'll bring it before the board. Department head updates. This is department heads and elected officials. Would any department heads like to give us an update?
Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. A few updates this morning.
First is going to be the GLEWA, the Great Lakes Water Authority issue we had earlier this summer. Just want to report back that the MSP, Emergency Management Division, has recommended to the governor's office for reimbursement for the city of Imlay City, city of Lapeer, and the village of Allemont, their request in full. So that has been passed through MSP, passed muster. It's not approved. The governor has to do that. So I just wanted to report back that, and the county of Lapeer as well, health department and road commission, we had request we can get back. So that's all been moved forward. I got that word this week, and I've informed municipalities as well, so they know. So we're just waiting for the governor's decision on that, and it's our understanding that traditionally they've never denied those applications once they get through the MSP approval process or recommendation process. Can't use the word approval. Next up, winter storm. I think we've seen the news that's coming up. Just want to let you know, I had a National Weather Service briefing yesterday at 1300. They talked about what's coming. We're probably looking between 3 to 8 inches, give or take. We all know how that goes. But it's not going to be the amount of snow that's going to be the issue. It's going to be the wind. So there's going to be sustained winds with gusts up to 50 miles per hour. We know what happens when we get those winds. The trees come down, the limbs come down, the power lines come down, the power goes out. In addition to that, to compound the problem, it's going to be winter, and then the cold front is going to be bringing very frigid air. So if people lose power, it's also going to get really, really cold, and that's very bad. So we already know Detroit Edison is already preparing and getting ready to do their thing. Us at 911 are doing the same thing. We're going to have staff on duty ready to go. I've already been in contact with the road commission. They're going to have crews on 24 hours a day through the weekend, with maybe a couple of spots overnight where they might have 3 hours when they're not on duty, because they do have to give their crews rest. The biggest issue for them also is not the amount of snow they get or we get, it's going to be the drifting snow, so the wind. What we are urging and encouraging residents to do starting tonight and tomorrow is stay home, stay off the roads, because tomorrow is going to be the worst of it. It should subside by Saturday morning. If we can stay home, stay off the roads, that allow the road commission to do their job. It'll also have the effect of 911, law enforcement, fire service, and ambulance services, so they don't have to go out and rescue people that go off the road or get injured. They're going to do it, that's our job, but if we can stay home, we minimize that impact on ourselves. So if people want to do holiday travel, get it done today, or at least wait until after Friday and part of Saturday. That's what we're trying to encourage people to do, to stay off the roads as best as possible. And be prepared if you do go out. Have some blankets, have a flashlight, fill your gas tanks up. Don't let it be half tank, quarter tank. Fill it all the way up in case you get stuck, and you got to be there a while and you need heat. So make sure you fill up. If you need to call 911, please do so. That's what we're there for. And lastly, I just want to thank the board. It's been my pleasure and honor to serve with the outgoing members of the board through the years. I wish you guys best of luck in future endeavors. And I look forward to continuing to work with Commissioner Zender and the new board moving forward next year to keep the business of the county moving. That's my update for today.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Are there any other elected officials or department heads that'd like to give us an update before Senator Daley, before we have him come up before the board? Hearing and seeing no one. Senator Daley, Kevin, you're on.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's, whoops.
That's okay.
Sure, breaker stuff.
Breaking your stuff in your last meeting, so not your last meeting. Well, thank you for giving me some time today. I want to take just a minute and really thank the 4 leading members of the board. Combined service to this county of 72 years is pretty impressive. 2 20-year members and 2 16-year members. You guys have done a lot of work for this county, and I've had the privilege of working with you right from day number 1. I was in the township when each one of you came in, and so it's been a pleasure to work with you. But so today we've put together, my office has put together some special tributes to each one of you, and with your permission, I think it's worthwhile to. It's going to take a couple minutes, but I'd like to read through each one of these because I think you guys deserve this. That's all right with you, Mr. Chairman?
Fine.
Okay, and so I'm going to start out with Dial Hennings. I had 20 years of service to Lapeer County. And so let it be known that with deep appreciation for the hard work, dedication, and professionalism by Dial G. Henning has put forth on behalf of Lapeer County that we offer this expression of our thanks and best wishes on the occasion of his retirement from the Lapeer County Board of Commissioners. As he concludes his tenure in public service on December 31st, 2022, we are grateful for this opportunity to acknowledge his contributions. Dial Henning was born in, you correct me, Schenectady, New York on December 23rd, 1942, and spent his childhood growing up in Fayetteville, New York. He attended and graduated from Fayetteville Mendeless High School in 1961 before moving to Ithaca, New York to attend Cornell University. After a few years at Cornell, Dial then went on to study at Columbia Law School in New York City, New York, before moving to Lapeer, Michigan in 1983. Dial met and married his wife, Juan Tu. Together, they currently have 3 children and 7 grandchildren. Dial began his career on the Lapeer County Board of Commissioners in January of 2003. During his 16 years of public service to the residents of District 3, Dial has served on several county committees. As he looks back on his tenure as county commissioner, Dial is most proud of his hard work and dedication to the financial stability of the county during the Great Recession in the late 2000s. It was with the help of the Lapeer County Board of Commissioners was able to maintain financial stability during the hardest times that the community has ever seen. He is also very proud of his involvement and support of the Lapeer County prevention and early intervention programs, as well as the development of the Lapeer County Community Collaborative. As a dedicated public servant, Dial has devoted his life to the residents of Lapeer County and will be greatly missed as he enters into the next chapter of his life. When Dial isn't working at the Lapeer County Commission, he can often be found spending his time as a member of the several community groups such as the Lapeer County Center Building Advisory Board, Lapeer County Kids in a New Direction Board, and the Student Grant Committee at the Trinity United Methodist Church. Dial, however, is most known for his diligent work and devotion to Lapeer County 4-H community and their 4-H fundraiser auction. Dial plans to stay involved with all as he ends his time as a county commissioner. Special tribute, therefore, this document is signed and dedicated to commend and congratulate Dial Henning upon the occasion of his retirement. May his future be filled with health, happiness, and ample time to enjoy life and his wife, Juan Tu, their 3 children, 7 grandchildren, and friends. Congratulations, Dial. Next, we have the infamous Lenny Schneider. 20 years of service to Lapeer County. Let it be known that with deep appreciation for the hard work, dedication, and professionalism Larry Schneider has put forth on behalf of Lapeer County, that we offer this expression of our thanks and best wishes on the occasion of his retirement from the Lapeer County Board of Commissioners. As he concludes his tenure in public service on December 31st, 2022, we are grateful for his opportunity to acknowledge his contributions. Lenny Schneider was born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio on September 13th, 1956. He attended and graduated from Strongsville High School in Strongsville, Ohio in 1974, before being hired as a police recruit for the Fort Lauderdale Police Department in 1975. During this time, Lenny would go on to study at several universities, including both Broward College in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, Berry University in Miami, Florida, where he obtained his bachelor's degree in public administration, and Florida Atlantic University in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, for his graduate studies. Lenny went on to stay with the Fort Lauderdale Police Department for a total of 25 years, where he worked his way to the police commander before moving to Lapeer in January of 2000, where he was hired as the Lapeer City Public Safety Director. In 2003, Lenny decided to retire from his position as director and went on to run for county commission and has been there ever since. Lenny began his career at the Lapeer County Board of Commissioners in January of 2003. During his 20 years of public service to residents of District 4, Lenny has served on several county committees, including chairman of both the Personnel Committee and Public Safety Committees for the entire time in office, and many of the Economic Development Boards. As he looks back on his tenure as a county commissioner, Lenny is blessed to know that he has supported and contributed to so many projects and has touched so many people's lives. Lenny's devotion to the betterment of the community that he has served and protected for so many years is something that he will be remembered for generations to come. As a dedicated public servant, Lenny has devoted his life to the residents of Lapeer County and will be greatly missed as he enters in the next chapter of his life. The special tribute, therefore, this document is signed and dedicated to commend and congratulate Lenny Schneider upon the occasion of his retirement. May his future be filled with health, happiness, and ample time to enjoy life with his 5 children, 10 grandchildren, and friends. And again, this one's signed by myself, State Senator, Representative Gary Howell, and Governor Richard Whitmer. Lieutenant Governor Darwin Gilchrist. Now I move on to Chairman Gary Roy. 16 years of service to Lapeer County. Let it be known that it's with deep appreciation for the hard work, dedication, and professionalism Gary Roy has put forth on behalf of Lapeer County that we offer this expression of our thanks and best wishes on the occasion of his retirement from the Lapeer County Board of Commissioners. As he concludes the tenure in public service on December 31st, 2022, we are grateful for this opportunity to acknowledge his contributions. Gary Roy was born in Flint, Michigan on August 3rd, 1946, and spent his childhood growing up in Imlay City, Michigan, along with his 3 siblings. He attended and graduated from Imlay City High School in 1964 before moving to Lexington, Missouri to attend Wentworth Military Academy. After a year and a half at Wentworth, Gary moved back to Michigan to attend Eastern Michigan University to continue his collegiate career. In 1966, Gary joined the United States Marine Corps and became a sergeant until 1969 when he retired from the armed services. During his time in the Marine Corps, Gary found and married his wife, Mavis Roy, who has been married to for a total of 54 years. Gary began his career on the Lapeer County Board of Commissioners in January of 2006. During his 16 years of public service to the residents of District 2, Gary has served on every county committee at various times. He has served as chairman of the Commissioners Board for the last 10 years. Gary is known for refusing the pay increase for the role as chairman, as he believes that the money should go towards the betterment of the community. He has also served on the Region 5 Area Agency on Aging Planning Commission, and as he looks back on his tenure as a county commissioner, Gary is most proud of his hard work and dedication for the financial stability of the county during the Great Recession of the late 2000s. It was with his help that the Lapeer County Board of Commissioners was able to maintain financial stability during some of the hardest times that the county community has seen. He is also very proud of his work in support of Lapeer County Parks and growing the Lapeer County Veterans Program. As a dedicated public service, Gary has devoted his life to the residents of Lapeer County and will be greatly missed as he enters into the next chapter of his life. A special tribute, therefore, this document is signed and dedicated and signed again by the governor, Lieutenant Governor, myself, and state representative. Last but not least, Linda Jarvis, 16 years of service to Lapeer County. Let it be known that it's with deep appreciation for the hard work, dedication, and professionalism Linda Jarvis has put forth on behalf of Lapeer County. We offer this expression of our thanks and best wishes on the occasion of her retirement from the Lapeer County Board of Commissioners. As she concludes her tenure in public service on December 31st, we are grateful for this opportunity to acknowledge her contributions. Linda was born and raised in Lincoln Park, Michigan on April 8th. I'll leave out the date. She attended and graduated from Lincoln Park High School in 1967 before becoming a county commissioner in 2007. Linda was a deputy clerk for Attica Township and also spent time as a recording secretary for the Planning Commission in Lapeer Township. Linda married Bill Jarvis. Linda began her career on the Lapeer County Board of Commissioners in 2007. During her 16 years of public service to the residents of the district, Linda has served on several committees and boards, including the Community Mental Health Board, Human Development Commission, Valley Area Agency on Aging, and many senior-related boards. As she looks back on her tenure as a county commissioner, Linda is most proud of her involvement and dedication to Lapeer County's various senior programs. She is well known for her rigorous support and commitment to the programs, and she will be greatly missed by the residents of Lapeer County for her years of service to the community's older population. Linda is also proud of her involvement to the county's Vietnam 50th anniversary celebration and the original historic courthouse gala. As a dedicated public servant, Linda has devoted her life to the residents of Lapeer County and will not soon be forgotten as she enters into the next chapter of her life. When Linda isn't working as Lapeer County Commissioner, she can often be found spending her time as a member of the Holiday Depot Board as a volunteer. During retirement, Linda plans to spend more time with her family, which includes 6 sons, several grandchildren, and many great-grandchildren. She also will spend time devoted to her favorite hobbies of card making and scrapbooking. A special tribute, therefore, this document is signed and dedicated to commend and congratulate Linda Jarvis upon the occasion of her retirement. Again, this is also signed by governors and Lieutenant Governor and myself and State Representative. Congratulations. also got one for the short serving, boy, this thing does not like me. The shortest serving member of the county commission, Brendan Miller. So for 4 years of service in Lapeer County, let me know there's a deep appreciation for the hard work, dedication, and professionalism Brendan Miller has put forth on behalf of Lapeer County. We offer this expression of our thanks and best wishes on the occasion of his retirement from the Lapeer County Board of Commissioners. Brendan was born and raised in North Branch, Michigan on January 22nd, 1997. He attended North Branch Public Schools and graduated from North Branch High School in 2015. Currently, Brendan resides in Deerfield Township. Brendan began his short tenure on the Lapeer County Commissioners in January of 2018. During his 4 years of public service to the residents of District 1, Brendan has served on the Region 5 Valley Area on Aging Committee and briefly chaired the Personnel Committee. As he looks back on his tenure as a county commissioner, Brendan is most proud of his work on the county employees wage study. His time working to provide better internet to the residents of Lapeer County and his efforts on reforming committee structures. As a dedicated public servant, Brendan has devoted his life to the residents of Lapeer County and will be missed as he enters into the next chapter of his life. When Brendan isn't working at the Lapeer County Commission, he can be found spending his time as the assistant coach for the Carsonville-Port St. High School football team. He was also a member of the North Branch School Board from 2016 to 2020. We are thankful to citizens like Brendan who take the time to volunteer their time for the betterment of our youth and our communities. Again, this is signed by the governor, lieutenant governor, myself, and the state representative. And just a message to these other guys, after 20 years, I won't be able to give this to you, but somebody will. So we expect you all to do 20 years at least. So congratulations. We also did produce one for Rick Warren, and Rick is already on his road. I mean, you guys got out of the meeting last Thursday, and he was bucking it to Florida, I guess, down there. But no, it's been an honor to work with you all. I think we're in good hands coming in with some new people, and we're thankful to have Brian be able to stay on as kind of the guy with the history here. And there's going to be a lot of changes to this county with the work that Quinn has done, and he's going to be leaving us, and so a lot of changes. But I think sometimes change is good, but it's hard to see somebody leave at one time. But again, I just wanted to thank you all for that. If, with your permission, Chairman, I would like to get a picture of all you guys together, if you would.
That's fine.
If that's possible. If you could take a break just for a couple seconds and do that, that would be wonderful. Really appreciate it. So,
Okay, thanks.
Hey, Kevin, just remember to answer your phone.
I've always answered my phone.
I know you have.
Brian reminded me that the only meeting that I attended in the last 2 years since he's been in here was the one when he wasn't here. So he quickly reminded me of that. Okay, well, thank you all.
So,
You want us up here?
you want to take a 5-minute break? With this picture?
It won't even take that long, I would think, so.
All right, you don't know.
You tell me where you want me to go, and if you want to go up there and stand with the picture behind us, and I'll get somebody to take a picture for me with the flag behind us.
Sure. That's
I
fine.
think it's good, and I get the names of the members in front.
With or without our flag?
She's up. You want me to just take it with my phone?
Without the flag.
Okay, that'd be great.
Without your flag.
No, my phone got dirty, so.
Thank you. Take your previous picture.
Hey guys, squeeze in like we like each other a
Nice
little
and close
bit.
like you like each other.
Yeah.
You wanna hold up there?
So you might want to send
Maybe
us
just
one
one.
commissioner.
Yeah.
No, that's all right.
Maybe Gary.
Stools?
No, sure.
Oh.
Yeah, we'll do it. Right.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you, Kevin.
Don't sit back in here.
That must be the bad one. You trying to help me get that.
Someday my young Padawan, someday.
Are there any other department heads or elected officials that would like to give us an update? Hearing to see and no one, I'll move into the first public time. Would anybody like to address this board this morning during the first public time?
Carol Whitner, Penn Township, and I just had something very short. These are all gifts that you have given me. Rick, standing on his principles, has helped me to do the same. Brian, questions. Thank you for asking so many questions. Lenny, your contemplative spirit. I appreciate it. Commissioner Roy, you're headstrong. And you've helped me to be the same way. Because I know it takes a lot to say what you have to say, and I appreciate everything.
Thank you.
Linda, compassion. Thank you for your compassion. Dial, your financial responsibility. We all appreciate the questions you ask, and we appreciate that you stand strong for the taxpayers. And Brendan, the gift that you gave me was your willingness to run when others, they heard the call, but they didn't do it. And I appreciate that you ran for county commissioner in my district, so thank you. And Quentin, I thank you for your old soul quotes. I've written down a lot. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Would anybody else like to address this board during the first public time?
Good morning, Jane Beckwith, Marathon Township. I want to echo what my constituent Carolyn just said. I really appreciate each and every one of you. And I know I've told some of you gentlemen how much I've learned from each of you. So thank you. I really have. I just getting to know you, Mr. Rory. So I appreciate your strong-headedness. Yes, it's been, I've learned much from each one of you. So again, I just echo what Carol has shared. I'd like to provide an update on the open investigation into the potential election fraud of November 3rd, 2020 election in Lapeer County. Two constituents and myself attended a third meeting with Detective Parks yesterday, December 21st. To be informed of any updated discoveries based on the evidence that was provided initially on August 25th, 2022. The discovery that was presented to us was a copy of the ballot initiative Legislative Bill 18-3. This bill states a registered voter may vote in a different jurisdiction than what their driver's license or voter file indicates, as long as their current residency is verified by the clerk. I know this to be true because I worked as a poll worker and election worker down in Detroit, and we did have a handful of these situations where we had to follow this bill. So I'm aware of this bill. Based on this discovery, Detective Parks attempted to conclude that the evidence investigated was not substantiated. This ballot initiative 18-3 was understood by all parties present. However, it is irrelevant to the evidence that was provided in relation to the potential election law that was violated. And I'll just give a brief summary of the evidence that was provided on August 25th. I know I went over this last week, but just a brief review. There were 131 cases of registered voters in Lapeer County that voted on November 3rd, 2020, per the official state of Michigan qualified voter file dated December 31st, 2020. While the NCOA, the National Change of Address Registrar, indicates that these same voters moved either out of state or out of Lapeer County more than 30 days prior to the election. I'm almost finished. The discoveries discussed at the previous second meeting on November 22nd was similar in that the evidence was not clearly addressed due to a misunderstanding of how the election law was potentially violated. At both meetings, it seems most of the time spent on the investigation was related to reasons not to further investigate. Much of the conversation was about the opposition to this investigation. We were told we were being adversarial while explaining the evidence so that proper investigation can occur. I made an inaccurate comment last week by stating this investigation has received minimal coverage. And for that, I am sorry. This investigation has received attention, and I am thankful for that. I do remain concerned with the effectiveness and the efficiency in which it is being conducted. And I'll finish at the last public comment for my summary. Thank you.
Would anybody else like to address this board during this public time? Hearing and seeing no one, we'll close the first public time. And we'll move on to business at hand. First business at hand is the Sheriff's Department. He wants us to, there's a request to approve the FY 2023 police contracts. Before you, you'll all find a paper that Jackie, our Chief Financial Officer in our interim, has done for us with 3 different columns. And Jackie, you want to explain those 3 different columns to everybody?
Okay, so there's I did a 3-year comparison of 21, 22, and 23. 21 is actual numbers, 22 and 23 are the contract estimates. The first 3 set of columns to the left are the total contract price. Each row is a township, so and the totals are at the bottom. The second set of 3 columns is the cost to the county general fund for each one of those years. The third set of 3 columns is the cost to each township for each one of those periods. The last set of columns is the estimated contract price to the cost to the extra voted millage for the year 2023.
Are there any questions, Dial?
Well, when I saw these contracts, and as I mentioned last week, I was concerned because contracts went out to townships before they came to the board, which has not been our normal procedure. Looking at the contract over, the contracts for each of the townships and villages involved, I guess my primary concern was the fact that it says the county agrees to pay 35%. Historically, the county, meaning at that point general fund, was supporting these contracts with 25%. What our chief financial officer has presented is the breakout of how that is different. I would recommend that these contracts, at least in the future, if we're not going to do it at this point today, show that it's the county general fund and the law enforcement millage that are paying for them, not that all 35% rest with the county, because I think there could be confusion as we go down the road that's somehow our general fund percentage has maybe shifted. But the fact that we have this breakout from Chief Financial Officer, that makes me a lot more comfortable in knowing that this has been set in some form that really represents the split of general fund and law enforcement knowledge.
Yeah, I did the same thing you're doing. I went through this with Jackie. And because the contracts weren't presented to the board prior to when they were taken out. And there wasn't an explanation where this 35% came from. So we went back and looked to make sure that something hadn't changed. I remember that when we put additional deputies on, when we took the ceiling off basically of 25 deputies, we took that off basically because of North Branch. And then we actually left that off. We give other townships the opportunity to actually hire more, deputies. They haven't taken the opportunities that they should, I don't think. But after going through all that, looking back through all the information and everything else, no, there wasn't a motion to ever change it from 25 to 35. There was a motion at one time to add additional deputies, but that's a different issue. So you're right by looking at them. Are there any other, you got any more questions on it?
I guess I would like to enter into the minutes, this breakout.
Okay.
That's provided by the chief financial officer for historical value, so people know how it's been fixed. Because I think there's a lot of confusion, and I think there's a big advantage to getting that word out through the townships and villages that the village, which will have to be looked at again in 6 years, is supporting them in a very substantial way. So just need to clean that up so that it's clear to the townships and villages as well.
And we got some confused townships out there.
Yeah.
On these contracts, so that's why I went back, and that's why we've been researching everything to make sure, but they were right. It's just, it's kind of short notice the way they're presented. Brendan, you've got something?
Well, I was just gonna note that I wasn't aware that the millage was gonna pick up tab. I'm happy they are. I think it makes sense because, as Dial noted, it's and Gary, it's a big benefit to townships to do so. It's a big benefit to townships and ultimately all the residents in the townships to do so. Because I agree with Dial, we have to keep that 25-75% split that existed prior there. So I'll just say I think it's a good idea. I'm happy it's happened, and I'm curious though if the board is going to be wishing to pass this today, considering we haven't gotten all the signatures back from the townships. I don't remember if we do that normally, if we wait till we get all the signatures back before we pass it.
No, normally what happens is the contracts are brought to the board. We approve the contracts to be sent out to the townships or to the villages or whoever has the officers. Then they're signed by the townships or the villages or whomever. Then they all come back to the board for final signatures. That's the way we've always done it. I come back and then whoever the new executive, county executive, which is the county chairman, signs those contracts and finish them off. And that's the way it's always been done in the past. It's a little surprising that it kind of got off whack this year, but what are you going to do? That kind of answer that for you?
Well, yeah, I was just wondering, as a board, are we comfortable passing this yet, or are we just going to pass it on to the next board when there's signatures come in? And then is there any financial ramifications if this isn't in place previous to the beginning of the next year?
We'll be out of contract compliance. The contracts expire.
So
They expire on the 31st, won't they?
Yeah. I have them here. Let me see.
They do.
Yep.
that's my concern. But at the same time, is there a concern because these other townships haven't signed them yet? Can we actually pass them without that signature?
You're doing the first part. What you're passing is the what you usually do first before the townships see them.
Right.
I see.
Yeah.
But actually, because this is our last meeting, the new board is the one that's gonna have to, the new chairman's the one that's gonna have to sign it when they come back.
Well, in that case, I'll move it.
Fine.
I'll move the motion here then.
We got a motion by and support by Jarvis.
I have a
Remember
question.
printing all this shit.
Your proposed motion does state that the chairman's going to sign, so I thought today was going to be, you were skipping the first step because of the way things happen. Just clarification.
I know, the chairman has to sign it.
And I thought that was going to be you today.
Signing, they're not completed yet.
Only some of them are signed, Lynette.
I understand. So I'm asking, do you want the words to authorize the chairman to sign removed from the proposed motion?
Well, we could probably, the way I see it, correct me if I'm incorrect, but you could probably sign the agreements that have already been signed by the townships today, correct?
If they've been returned.
They've been returned. And then I could just add some sort of addendum
The
on
new,
the
the new
motion.
chairman then signs the rest of them?
Well, I could just add an addendum onto the motion that says, chair to sign said agreements that have been returned to the town, sorry, that have been returned to the county. So now specify the ones we already have right now, you'd be authorized to sign, and then the next chairman would obviously have to make, the next board would have to make another motion that was authorized to sign the remaining contracts. That's what I would assume. Is that proper?
Well, don't you think it was probably right, what you said, the first thing is to move this on to the new board?
Well, I mean, we could, but then we run into the issue that we just brought up, that the contracts technically expire on the 31st, which I don't know if we would have a retro pay or if they would just technically not have any police coverage for that time. Well, besides the regular county police coverage. So that's what I want to make sure.
They would just
So,
have, I would think they would just have regular county.
Yeah.
I don't know where you stand with the ones that aren't signed, I guess.
Truthfully, there's no way I'm gonna pull
I-
protection out of these townships.
Well, we know that.
Yeah, we know that.
It's not, they're our best partners in the county. Ultimately, understanding the things that we're talking about here, this is a unique circumstance because of the millage. The issues with the contracts not being, or some of them not, I think we're just over half that have come in now, isn't because of any recourse or people are upset, it's because of timing of their meetings. So there's these were hand delivered and explained. Jackie on her day off is when she did all these things with Susan. So there's nothing as in a township. Townships are doing backflips right now because they're so excited. I mean, their increase, the only increase they got from last year was a 2% contractual raise. So they want to sign these suckers as fast as they can to get them back to us. It's not about that there's pushback on it. It's just they haven't had their meetings fall into where they can have a forum to be able to do it. And I see the holidays playing.
Oh, I don't think it's about that pushback by the townships. I think we got a matter here of which executive officer, which is the chairman of the board, signs the final contract. That's all, Sheriff.
To that question, how many of these contracts do we actually have into the county right now?
I don't know. Do you know, Scott?
I think
I didn't count them.
out of townships, because I actually have multiple numbers of townships, I think out of the 10 that we have contracts, I think there's 6 that are in. I think we're like,
Okay, so I guess everyone's got to go ahead.
I was just gonna suggest to try and find out, I think you could probably do to stay with that protocol, to just simply say, once contracts are signed and returned, we authorize the seated chairman to sign said contract. But you're not naming the chairman. The seated chairman or vice
Right.
chairman is authorized to sign. So those ones that are returned to us right now, Gary can sign. Those ones that are returned after January 1st, whoever is the seated chairman or vice chairman can sign.
No, it has to be the chairman.
Then that would be my suggestion, is just use that terminology. That upon receipt of the signed
I'm good with that.
contracts, the seated chairman is
Those
authorized to sign.
are clerk, they're not, yeah.
I'll confirm it.
So, Mr. Chair, I have one question regarding, so the 522, 219.12 is the amount out of the general fund, and then the millage is making up
Correct,
the difference.
correct.
So shouldn't there be something included in the motion with that number?
Don't use the number, those are estimates, please. Those are estimated numbers from the contracts.
Because they get adjusted
Yes,
at the end of the
it's
year.
actual expense. The county's portion is, for 22, is 25% of the actual expense. So, and I,
So if there's a pay adjustment, Brian, even though it's 25%, the county's gonna pick up the 25% of the additional pay adjustment.
But it's usually, the percentage we use are the highest numbers. I'll give you an example.
exactly.
Let's say Arcadia Township has a deputy, which they do, it might be a tier 2 deputy, not a topped out deputy. We use the top numbers because these people are moving at different times, getting assigned to different places. So we use that top number. We give them worst case scenario. So when those contracts are done, like Dial said, at the end of the year, there's adjustments. We do real-time billing. So the majority, really all of our contracts usually come in quite a bit under what the quoted price is.
Yeah.
And then it's just a 75-25 on real numbers, not on projected numbers at the beginning.
But now it's 35%,
And for 23, for the year into 23.
right? But that additional money
Comes
is
from,
coming
comes from the millage.
from the millage.
Correct.
It just, it seems like this is gonna be very confusing in, 5 or 10 years, to another board looking at this, going, what in the world did they do?
I think the important piece for us, I know for me personally, I don't need to put Jackie on the spot, but for me, our biggest thing, that's why we work with Jackie, is I needed Jackie to be comfortable with how it was done. This is confusing. This is a unique circumstance for all of us. I think a lot of it came down to more of trying to give some clarity and even some accounting purposes so that we knew to make it easier with it. As for the confusion, that's why we personally sent to each township with their contracts. We sent people there to explain it to them the best that we could. And as long as Jackie was comfortable, I'm comfortable. And the town, we had no confusion with the township. The way that they were actually written to them was clear because it is very confusing, but that's what Jackie accomplished. The townships got it, understood it, and we're fine with it.
I'm fine if you want to say in the motion that the general funds amount is frozen at 22 actuals or budgeted amounts. And the rest is absorbed by, I just don't want you to put the dollar amounts off the
Yeah,
spreadsheet.
you see what I'm trying to do, I mean, just so, like, say, later on, I mean, God forbid, if your millage fails in 6 years, okay, the county, we're gonna have to make some corrections, because general fund cannot absorb the brunt of that. And that's what I want to make sure that is very clear in this paperwork, so whoever is looking at it understands what was done.
I understand it.
So, motion maker, if we could include the table for the 22 actuals in that motion, so like I say, I'm just trying to make this clear to.
You're right, Brian, you gotta make sure, because if for some reason, if this millage doesn't pass the next time, then there's gonna have to be a correction in the dollar amount. And then,
We just went from 25% to 35%.
I understand that.
Yeah.
So, just clarifications, so I understand everything. And then also to the new board, which I think understands it, will. The arrangement that's been set up with these agreements is 75-25, pretty much. The county, or 50-25-25 is what I think it actually is, correct? Something like that, where the county will agree to give 25% of the funding to these officers. And then for every 4 new township officers, you get a new officer in general fund. That was the original intent of it, I do believe, correct?
I think better get that clear.
Wasn't it something
Chief
like that?
Financial
Well,
Officer.
it was a way to help save money but have more officers out on the street, is basically
That's
what it
correct.
was. Yeah. So strike the other part, but that was the ultimate goal, was to have us cover a quarter of these and then the townships cover,
You talk about the original.
the original, yes, the original intent.
We could probably ask
Yeah.
Dave that, he was around when that happened.
And the reason that the 25% isn't being respected right now is because of the wage study, which increases cost. So the two options were either we throw all that cost onto the township or we cover that additional cost. We decided we're gonna cover the additional cost, and then the extra voted millage, so not the county general fund, which pays us 25% currently, but the extra voted millage covers that cost of the wage study increase.
Correct.
Well, in all fairness, Brendan, just to be clear, we didn't decide
Yes,
anything.
Sure.
yes.
The
Sheriff
sheriff
did.
decided.
Sheriff did, yes.
Give him the credit.
Which he deserves it for that, for making that option available. So, just to clarify, you're saying for the motion, you want to include something that states that the county still covers the 25% and the additional amount is covered by the millage. Is that what you're saying?
Essentially, yes.
That's what I thought. Okay.
You can't use that word though. You can't say 25%.
Yeah, we're not going to use that.
Because we're
word,
frozen
but
at 22
just-
budget.
Just for my pea brain to understand this. It's
You
what
can,
it is.
you can say 22 budget.
Yeah, okay, so, if you have that written down, if you actually,
22 budget.
if you and, because Lenny also had an addendum as well, so,
So I hear two additions.
yeah.
If I could, I hear on this one, with the county general fund contributions being frozen at the 2022 budgeted levels.
Perfect.
And then I hear that and that we authorize the seated chairman of the county board to sign the approved contracts returned and signed by the townships.
So I'm okay with both those changes, as long as Linda is.
Yeah.
So one more time, would somebody read the motion back with the changes?
Motion,
So the public can understand it?
yeah. Motion to approve the FY 2023 agreement for law enforcement services for the following municipalities: Oregon Township, Arcadia Township, Marathon Township, Attica Township, Deerfield Township, Mayfield Township, Elvin Township, Emily Township, Village of Clifford, Village of North Branch as attached. And further, and now where do you want to add the budget part in it, Brian?
So the budget part would be right before that semicolon, as attached, with the county general fund contributions being frozen at the 2022 budgeted levels.
Okay. And further to authorize
The seated chairman.
seated chair to sign said agreements. There's the motion.
I like these words. Say them again.
The seated chairman of the county board to sign the approved contracts which were signed and returned by the respective townships.
That's your motion, right?
Yeah, that's my motion.
Who's supporting that?
Linda.
I did.
Motion by Miller, supported by Jarvis. All in favor of that motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All same sign. Motion carries. B, request to approve interlocal agreement with Oakland County for medical examiner.
I'll move it.
I'll be real clear on this, I won't sign this. My signature is required on this to pass, but I will not sign it.
So we at?
We're at 3B.
And I will not sign it because the medical director is fine. I think there should be more research done, because you have a lot of funeral directors in Lapeer County that haven't been contacted about these changes. And those changes affect them as much as it does anybody, other than just the man doing the autopsies. They're the ones that have to deal with the different counties or whoever's delivering the bodies and all, everything else. And I researched this again, and that hasn't been done. So this has to be signed by me, but I won't sign it. That can be left to the new board to make that decision and go back and research why that particular county was chosen over Genesee. And I haven't seen any of the paper. All I hear is that Saginaw is losing Saginaw County. But I haven't seen any documentation saying that anyplace. So there's no reason to take a vote on it because I will not sign it. The next board can do the research on it. Go out and research it back. But you can't force me to sign this. I won't sign it. There's that hard-headedness again.
I would only remind this board that there are homicide cases that we have trial dates for. There are victims' families that need reviews of pathology reports that have already been executed that we don't have a witness for anymore. The bigger issue is that we have an agency that's doing those autopsy records right now who has had experts testify falsely, which is why so many counties have left. We also have the issue of training going forward. Oakland County has agreed to train prosecutors, medical examiner
What the
investigators.
prosecutor's got to do with this?
Well, everything.
No, it
Because-
doesn't.
Everything, because I'm the one that prosecutes the cases in courts. I'm the one that represents the people of the state. I'm the one that has to explain and sit down with victims' families and describe and explain to them why we can't go forward with a trial because we don't have a contract to have a medical examiner review the case. So that's your decision, that's your decision. I just want the public to know how that impacts victims, because it's frustrating.
Well noted.
Thank you.
So I make a motion that we move this to the next,
Board.
And everybody made a motion.
next committee of the whole. or
Can we do
next-
that?
Next
No.
board.
We can't.
Well, you have to bring the topic back up.
Sure, yeah.
Well, I just wasn't sure.
Even if it was us.
Okay.
It could just simply be placed on the next agenda
Yes.
without a
Yeah.
motion. Whoever directs that agenda can have it put on or not. That would be futuristic.
Yeah.
Not sure where we are in the motion, but I guess I'd like to,
There's no motion because regardless what you do, I'm not gonna sign it.
well,
That's
can we
required.
take a little time to discuss this?
No,
We've got people who are here who, for example, we've got,
didn't you discuss this last week?
I'm sorry?
Wasn't this discussed last week? Wasn't there a 3-3 tie? The motion failed, the discussion?
And we agreed to come back and we had suggestions from MIFSM that they would provide more information. They're here, there is more information. I think it would be worthwhile to ask them to talk about that, and that will at least help some of the new board members. If that's where
Almost
it's
all the
going.
new board members are here today. So if they want to come up and talk about this, this is fine. For their information for the new board. Want to do that? That's
No,
fine.
Let's just wait till the next commission. He's not gonna sign it, he just said that.
your motion
So-
usually states that the chair or the vice chair, that is your consideration.
This one doesn't. This has to be signed. This is a contract for the county.
Standard words are chair or vice chair.
You want to read this?
No, I think it's important to note that, let's say a board felt real strongly that they needed to take action today. Someone can make a motion that authorizes the chairman or the vice chairman. Someone could support that, and if the board approved it, that would be a legitimate vote. So it doesn't end just because of one person.
There's
But by
another,
the same token, I think you raised enough significant point of concern that it should probably just be passed off one more week to the new board and let the new board decide. I've already,
Yeah, because there's some research that needs to be done on
well,
this.
I mean, I know I have, and I've already expressed my opinion that I support the sheriff and the prosecutor on this. They're the ones that need to be able to provide the important service, but I'm just one of 7 votes. And if others are concerned, no problem with moving it one more week to a new board. But I just want to make it perfectly clear, if the board felt strongly that they wanted to move this today with what's presented, they could, as the clerk said, authorize the chairman or the vice chair.
or the
So,
controller, that is the standard practice
Absolutely.
as well.
Where does this stand in terms of our having these services? Since we haven't passed a motion to terminate services,
We did.
we passed it to come to the full board, and then it did not pass. So
We've started.
I
the
would
60
say it's not,
We've started the 60-day clock.
Correct. With written notice.
I thought that vote failed.
Yeah,
it did fail. So I would say that
We gave him permission to.
you can't give him permission to do
At,
that.
at the committee of the whole is
Whole.
when that action took place.
Right.
And then it came to full board and the motion failed.
Failed. So right
But
now.
the notice was given.
Yes.
So where do we stand? In other words, do we have services or?
We have services right now until February 6th.
It gives plenty of time for the new board to do whatever research they want. Again, I'm gonna state my opinion. We have department heads that this is not 5 minutes of consideration. This has been a year's worth of talks. So the sheriff and our prosecutor, both elected officials, okay, are saying, this is what we need, this is what we want. And there's no good reason not to give it to them, in my opinion. So regardless, whether we do it this week or do it in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, whatever it takes for the next board to come up with the information that they feel comfortable with, I don't have a problem with it either way.
I guess the only question would be, would Oakland County be able to pick up on short notice? If the clock is already ticking with the current sheriff, can you answer that?
I'm not sure. I guess that's something we'd have to discuss with them. And if I may, Mr. Chairman, I don't want to get into this at the end of back and forth. I don't want this turning into a screaming match. The only thing I would like to say, reference your statements there. I just want to address that piece of it. Like I said, I don't need this to go at the end of the year. It's your last thing. This is not the note I want you guys going out on. The part where you just said, of kind of what Brian just said, is that there hasn't been any research. That stings me, because him and I, Jeremy, and the other people that are involved with that since February, the beginning of February last year, we've been touring. So that's unfair to say, because it's a shot at me and it's a shot at the sheriff's department, that we're not doing it. The piece that we also have to remember, and it goes back to your email when you sent that the contracts are done by the commission, 1,000% right. But it was a little bit of a hit on me of that I was going ahead with this. You got to remember, when you say about all of these funeral homes and everything, that's not my job. You understand, I'm doing the research of something. The county has to have a medical exam. That doesn't have anything to do with the sheriff, except for I'm involved in all these investigations. John's heavily involved in this. So when we say that we didn't contact funeral homes, that's not my job. That's the medical examiner's job to work the logistics out between each one of those. That's the hired county medical examiner does. The problem is everyone's focused on me because we did go out, excuse me, and do that research. But that's not my job, the things you're talking about. So to say that I didn't follow through, I didn't do the research, I didn't contact funeral.
I didn't say
That's not
that you
true.
didn't do the research. I said that Oakland County hasn't contacted any of them either.
They can't, they don't have, they have them under contract with us yet, sir.
Somebody should have contacted somebody and at least said that we're looking at doing something.
That, the process of that is once this is approved through here and we come to a decision, let's say the decision, the vote was to go to Oakland County, then Oakland County would follow through with those contacts and setting up policy and procedure. Oakland County can't reach out to them right now because we don't have it completely signed. We don't have a vote on it.
I was just gonna add, I appreciate what the prosecutor said, his comments. To be frank, when I made my vote last week, I thought it was just we prefer one over the other, but if this is a case in which there's bad testimony and faulty testimony that's affecting our cases, that is a problem. And that does need to be addressed. If it was just well, we prefer one over the other, I have no problem throwing it to the next board. But if it's a situation where there's faulty testimonies and there's cases coming up, and there could be a situation in which it could affect the case and the county prosecutor, that's something I do think we could take action on today. And we should, because remember, we're not actually meeting next week. It's organizational week after that, and thinking committee of the whole. So really, there's not going to be any true action taken on this until the 12th. So that's several weeks away. So that's my only concern is, as said, I thought, I was under the understanding from what I've heard from different parties that this was more or less just we want to go a different direction. The people we have currently are not terrible, which is why I thought, well, if they're not terrible, then okay, fine. But if it is a situation where we're having problems in court cases, it's affecting a prosecutor's ability to do his job, that's a totally different situation. So I wish the prosecutor stuck around. I'm sure I'd go somewhere else. But that is a serious concern of mine. And I understand your point, Brian, we can push on the next board, but as I said, it's not until the 12th.
Right, well, and like I say, you know, there has been a lot of conversations about this. You know, in no disrespect, Chairman Roy, but you have been absent for almost a year. So a lot of the stuff that's gone on, I understand you don't have the answers to the questions that you want, but everybody else has been here and done a lot of this and heard the issues. So.
Well, who have you spoken to about this other than the sheriff and the prosecutor?
That's the only two that I need to speak to about it. I mean, the sheriff, the prosecutor, and our county controller administrator have done lots of work to come up with these choices. Let's say if we're not going to go with recommendations of our elected officials in their departments, I don't know what it takes to try a case. I'm sorry, that's not my job. I'm not the prosecutor. The sheriff and the prosecutor work hand in hand together to make sure that the rules are followed, the laws, procedures, so when they get to court, that they can come out with the outcome that's required. So I defer that to them.
Are we allowed to comment at all?
Not really.
I feel that it's only fair. We have accusations levied against us. That's simply untrue, Mr. Chairman. We'd like a chance.
Who made the accusations against you?
The prosecutor said that we are providing false testimony, sir. That's completely untrue. This gentleman is your medical examiner. He is a triple board certified. This is the most credentialed medical examiner in the entire state of Michigan. He has never, go ahead, Doctor.
The problem is I have never been called to testify in Lapeer County. So where he has this accusation about improper testimony a false testimony, it's not against us, it's not against me. It has to be somebody else. So that cannot be held against MIFSM for something that we have not done.
There are not several counties leaving our organization. We currently take care of 13 counties in the state of Michigan, and we are expanding as we speak. We have been coming to these meetings ever since I became on board as CEO for the last couple of years. You folks know us. We present to you on occasion. I try to have regular contact. Stephen Heaters, our lead medical examiner, he is on the ball 24 hours, 7 days a week if there's anything happening in Lapeer County. For transport, what have you, investigation, what have you. He has relationships with every single one of your funeral homes. Every time we come up here, Mr. Chairman, we are told we're doing an excellent job. Everything's going exceedingly well. We heard one problem about death certificates. Those issues about death certificates are counties throughout America are dealing with those. There's only a few toxicology labs that take care of those testing. We actually moved to a different toxicology lab from Philadelphia to Indiana. That has helped turn around the turnaround time on toxicology results. We've gone from, I think, 4 to 6 weeks about 6 months ago to about 10 to 14 days now. So we listened to your concerns. We acted on it. Again, where's Oakland County right now? Why aren't they at this meeting? We're at these meetings all the time because we appreciate our partnership with this county. And we were caught off guard on December 8th. We still haven't got an explanation why anyone is leaving. We saw on the YouTube video for the meeting that someone made the accusation that we do not have a forensic pathologist on staff. That's true. We have 2 forensic pathologists on staff. And that's incredibly important for your prosecutor. I don't understand where any of this is coming from. No one's reached out to us. The sheriff respectfully says that he has checked out different avenues and different sites. No one has ever come to Saginaw and checked out our site, even though we've offered that invitation to everybody on board and everybody that represents your county. Excuse me if I'm a little loud. These are baseless accusations, and when they're made in an open forum, it hurts our reputation that we work extremely hard to build. And I do think that this has been moved along very quickly, very rapidly. If I could say anything, it would be my suggestion only, my humble, respectful suggestion, that you rescind the 60-day notice so that there is adequate time to investigate any avenue that the current board or the new board would like to seek out. I appreciate the time that you allowed me to speak.
Rescinding that 60 days would be up to the new board.
Yes, sir.
You've given me some answers that I was looking for that I couldn't find anyplace else. That's why I won't sign this agreement, because of the research and things. And I'm not saying that the sheriff didn't do his job. I'm not saying that the prosecutor isn't doing his job. But you're right, I don't see Oakland County represented here. I just feel that there needs to be more research, more work done on this project. And you know as well as I do, being a medical examiner, that you need to reach out to the funeral homes. You know that. Because they have to be comfortable with the bodies and everything, it's a different world, but it's there. No, it's not the sheriff's job. That's not your job. They have to do that. But it's a medical examiner's job. And I haven't been able to find, and this is, I wasn't speaking out of turn. I haven't found where Saginaw has lost any counties. That's why I won't sign this, and that's the only reason, because more research has to be done.
Over the last 2 months, sir, we brought on three more counties. To the contrary.
You want to open this to discussion? They're here.
Well, that's why I'd like a little more information. 13 counties, what are the 13 counties?
13 counties represent agencies, I should say, because we take care of also Native American reservations. We take care of this county, Gladwin County, Huron County, Ogama County. We've taken over counties in Marquette, Alger, Schoolcraft. We're in talks right now with 2 different counties in northwestern Michigan. Who am I forgetting? Leland, Alger, and Traverse, and I'm missing something else. Alcona counties. Again, we've been told nothing but good things. When we come up and present, we give you folks all the information that we have. We've given you more information today. Financially speaking, this will cost you more money. This move will cost you more money. We've turned around the time on death certificates. That's what we were told was the most urgent need. We hear that from other counties as well. There was issues during COVID with these labs and their staffing and their turnaround times. We fixed that. And again, we've mentioned this to this board before. We are in the process of certifying and credentialing our own toxicology lab in-house in Saginaw. We will be the only toxicology lab in the entire state of Michigan, the first and the only toxicology lab in the entire state of Michigan. That means your turnaround time is going to get even faster.
Mr. Bishop, did you get the information that you requested from them last week?
I received it this morning.
It's the information that we had.
I would like to make a comment on that. So you made a cross comparison for Oakland County versus the Institute. And you made a statement to say the total savings was $160,850. And you listed as Oakland County as having a toxicology fee of $19,750 and a transportation fee of $31,600. Where did you come up with those numbers?
Those are numbers that we took, and it's possible that we mismanaged those numbers. We were focused on the autopsy part, because from what we understand from your contract with Oakland County is you'll be paying extra for each one of those items.
So you mismanaged the data when you presented.
I don't think I mismanaged the data.
You
I
did.
just went off
You
of your
did.
sheet here because
No, you did. The contract for Oakland County has a fee schedule. And if you look on, you have the contract because it was here in the packet last week. So you mark toxicology at $19,750 and transportation at $31,600, and it is included into the services.
into the 2,500.
Correct.
Okay.
So it's built in to that fee. So you misrepresented the total amount of savings.
But if you take the 2,500 and multiply that, we've performed 79 autopsies so far this year.
Correct.
That will come out to more than what you folks are paying.
Correct. Your savings though, but when you put information on the desk 5 minutes before a board meeting, and you're making a savings, you're making a statement of saying it's going to cost us this. It's bad information. That's not the correct number to present. The second fee is the commissioner had asked a very specific question. He brought it up twice. He said, up to his knowledge, he has not received any word of Saginaw losing a contract. And he waited and he paused, and you had the opportunity to answer. So publicly, have you, the Institute, lost a contract other than Lapeer County?
Have we lost a contract in their entire state? Absolutely, yes.
That was the answer he was looking
We
for.
lost one right now that's in litigation, and I cannot comment on that any further.
The contract is,
Not recent.
the contract though, litigation is with a former employee, correct?
I'm not, I can't get into that.
It is. So the contract and litigation, separate things. The contract that you had with a county is no longer in effect, correct? Do you have a contract with Saginaw County?
No, we do not.
There was a contract with Saginaw County. That was the answer. He asked that twice now. The answer to your question, Chairman, is that they have lost a contract and they lost it to their largest county, which is Saginaw County. That was the answer to your question. You said you did not receive an answer for.
I didn't take his terminology like that, Mr. Bishop. So the response over here was that we are not providing adequate trial testimony, and that we have your prosecutor's verbiage. We have counties leading us. I believe he said something, several counties, or he mentioned the word plural, counties. That is inaccurate, and nothing recently. The matter that you state is over a year ago old, and it is ongoing litigation. Now, as well, I have tried to reach out to you and others for information regarding, because these comments were made in public forum, I feel like we deserve some kind of reason. Because the comments that were made in public forum are completely inaccurate, to say the least.
The reason why this was kicked off,
Forensic pathologists on staff too.
you said that. The reason why it was kicked off another week is that there was a comment made about the sheriff's department saying that a forensic pathologist was not on staff. What you heard and what was brought back to the table was that we said that the Institute did not have a forensic pathologist on staff. That was incorrect. Because the truth of the matter is, when Dr. Verandi retired, there was a moment in time, because he was our forensic pathologist. When Dr. Verandi retired, we did not have a forensic pathologist. Therefore, we needed a contract to find a forensic pathologist. So we contracted with the Institute. So to take something that is very true, that we lost a forensic pathologist through retirement, so we did not have it, which was spoken, which is true, but then to come and say it next week at a public forum to say that everything the sheriff's department said is fundamentally
I
not.
didn't say that, Mr. Bishop.
We'll rewind the tape. Exactly what Mr. Heater had said, that we had said that we did not have a forensic pathologist. And his statement was, we've always been covered. We've always had a forensic pathologist on staff. Taking a very specific situation with a retiring forensic pathologist, not having one because we need to contract with one, is true. That was true. That was the statement that he made, and that is the truth.
Dr. Verani retired, I believe, 3 years ago. I don't know, I guess, in my opinion, you're handpicking words. Because what a forensic pathologist, if we did or did not have one on staff 3 years ago for 2 months, I don't believe is the genesis of anything that's happening right now. What the public hears is that we don't have a forensic pathologist on staff. And they take that now, and we actually have two, and we presented that to the board. Whenever we have new hires, we present that information to the board. We're very transparent, we're very open, and we're very communicative.
So we resolve the discussion. I appreciate that for clarity. Does the board actually want to make I guess that was more
A couple more questions. The data that you gave us, the 79 autopsies is for this year.
currently is.
Now, my understanding you had it for the year before, and then the question I had also was, historically, what has been our pattern?
So in your packet, there's a 3-year reference.
There are 3 years. Now, that's a disadvantage of having it, right now.
We're talking about numbers, and we all heard $2,500 per case last week. And then in the agenda is the agreement with Oakland County, and it's not $2,500, it's $2,750, because they include a $25 or $250 medical examiner certification per case. And then it says administrative fees, they add 10% per invoice. So I don't know if that'll be per autopsy or, so it's much more than what we thought last. So, like the sheriff said, we're not here to try to argue with anybody or, we're here to give you and let you make the best informed decision for the best of the county. And, in this case, you're gonna be paying in excess of $100,000 easily. So, I can't speak on Oakland's, their procedures and how they work. I know that in Lapeer County, I have personal relationships with every director from the funeral home. Talk to them all the time. They're very pleased with our turnaround. A disruption in that changes a lot of things for everybody. So,
Well, first of all, I'd like to make a comment to something that Brian said. And Brian, I can appreciate you noticing that I have been sick and haven't been at a lot of meetings this year. Also, you were not on the board when this thing was going on with Dr. Bush and everything else in this particular county, So you have no knowledge of that or what happened. So that's two different issues. I remember when this whole thing started and why it started and how it happened. I'm working with that's where all this is coming from, back knowledge of knowing what happened. I mean, a lot of this happened, I think, even before Quentin was around here. Lenny was here, Dow was here. Brendan probably was just starting when all this was happening. Linda was here. So that's why I took the position that I can't sign this until there's more research done on it. And I'm not gonna change that position. If most of you know me, you know I won't change it. Not my position. Now, we can argue and go back and forth and we can go through. We can look at this. This is a legal contract with the county of Lapeer.
Mr. Chairman.
And I don't see anything in any place that says anything about a legal contract that comes down to the county being signed by a comptroller administrator.
I think we've reached a stalemate, to be honest with you.
Yeah, we haven't talked about it. I mean, basically, we've got to make a decision, this board or the next board, on two factors. One is the cost, which has been my initial concern, and performance, which is the secondary concern, which we've spent some time on here today. I don't know if we know much yet, in fact, for cost.
Well, those projections, I think, are kind of close. Quentin disagrees.
I do. They're misrepresented. We don't have $19,750 in toxicology fees, and we do not have $31,600 in transportation fees.
Just historically, how many autopsies?
We didn't keep track the way the Oakland's going to charge us. So I don't know how many were site autopsies and how many were full forensic autopsies. I just know that we had.
So it's hard to get a comparative cost.
Correct.
Yeah, I gotta give it, that's why I said that research has to be done.
We have a couple of years, right? Thank you. And I had, again, because those figures just showed up, I haven't had a chance to look at them.
So in 2019, we had 132 ME cases and 52 autopsies in 2019. But I don't know what kind of autopsies they were.
So that sort of, you have to do an estimate,
Right.
some average to figure out your
Right.
cost. The other part I'm going to just throw out that we talked about, maybe the sheriff can add some information. The other, in effect, bidder was Genesee County. And again, could you remind us of what their cost was and why that wasn't the choice?
Genesee, St. Clair, and Oakland, all their prices are almost exactly the same. The only thing that happened originally with Genesee when we did the tour over there was originally at that point they were down people, like everything is. Pathology is something Dr. Mahavi and I were talking about it last week. You're very hard pressed to get in this field nowadays for that. So the numbers are really tough. What Genesee originally wanted to do is they asked us if we could hire as a county a PA, a forensic PA, that would come in, work our cases that would basically come off of our costs. So it's kind of a discussion that Quentin, Jeremy, and I were at that meeting, and I wasn't quite sure because we looked at it and we're like, yeah, well then about a month later, Dr. Hunter called back and said that they could take on ours without that. So theirs was a little bit different in there, but the other ones, the other prices are almost right on the money. They were all exactly the same, basically. So there was really no discrepancy in all of them. It was just Saginaw's was a different price.
So Was, you judged Saginaw to be a lower price,
Yes, second one,
and the others were pre-count?
right on the money. And I think in fairness, and it's a good question. I want to make sure, because we say the back and forth things. And I got a chance after the meeting or at your guys' luncheon there, where I got a chance to talk to the investigator, to Dr. Monabi. I want to point out very clearly that this isn't anything personal. It's not at all. I think very highly of both those men. And I appreciate the things that have been done for Lapeer County. When I say of the research, I've been doing this research since the beginning of the year. And obviously we were all hands-on. Quentin, Jeremy, myself, Lieutenant Parks was doing it, because obviously heading up the MEI stuff. And so I want to kind of separate that. This isn't a mud throwing piece. I don't ultimately, the authority and the life with you. You have the medical examiner side. Me, on the outside, is trying to do that, some of that research to find out, talk to other counties, talk to the people that use them. Okay, what do you think and where are you at? This is a professional opinion. This is a professional side. So I'm not here to say anything badly about any of these people. I just, as the sheriff and as the elected piece, and researching this, talking to other detectives, talking to other departments, talking to ones that use these, I think for the county, unfortunately what happens a lot of times, and I was in on when the chairman's talking about the original conversation, I was in there with Mr. Biscoe and Dr. Bush. That was originally our forensic, or was our pathologist, or I mean, this is strictly based on that. As I believe this is a quality service that I think would be good for Lapeer County. The truth of the matter is, most of our decisions based, and I completely understand it from a fiscally, responsible side, is most of our decisions all come down to money. Well, I really believe that this is a topic that has always kind of been pushed through or moved on, that holds a lot of liability. And so some money here, some money there on something that ultimately we're trying to zero in numbers. We're talking about the rate people die. We're not going to figure that out. We're not going to have a consistent number as where we go. It's my professional side with Quentin, Jeremy, and myself to these places, talking with them. Nothing personal. It's my professional side that this is a better arrangement for the county, period.
I'll just throw in, I think Brian made a motion to table. I would support that motion if it's still on the floor for him. To move it to the next meeting.
We don't have to, it's just gonna.
Because I don't think we're gonna get any answers. I've heard back and forth, and I don't think we're gonna be able to come to a decision today anyways, at least from what I've heard and seen.
Leave our interim controller and administrator sort out some of this.
Right.
So I'm hearing a lot of conflict. The thing is, I'm hearing a lot of conflicting reports on things, and I appreciate your professional opinion, Sheriff, and that I do take that into account. And to be honest with you, some of the things that were said before that made me lose credibility in some sides, and I don't even know what to think, and maybe I shouldn't think about it anymore. Let the next board think about it more. So. So do we have to make a motion to move it, or we just?
No, you don't have to make a motion to move it.
There are with discussion and no action.
Next board has a couple of challenges with the whole thing. They're gonna have to, first of all, that 60-day clock. They're gonna do a thorough discussion and thing with everybody, so everybody has time to communicate with each other. They're gonna have to stop that clock. And
I don't think it'll be necessary to stop the clock because it's until
but that's
February
not our
6th.
decision.
Yeah.
That'll be theirs.
Yeah, I mean, it's until February 6th, and I can tell you, I did probably 2 days worth of research and found out all the information I need to find out. I made phone calls, I talked to people in different agencies and came to a decision. So I think the next board will probably do the same thing within a matter of days. Heck, the first week in January, probably get a lot of research done. If you want any contacts too, who I talked to, feel free to let me know and I'll give those to you so you guys can talk to them as well. Because, I mean, as I said in the previous meeting, I called Oakland, I got some information about Oakland, got some information about Saginaw, and I found out, well, not too much of a service difference between the two. But it all comes down to cost. That's what it's going to come down to. I don't think it's going to be a massive service decrease with going to Oakland versus what we currently have. But that's it. Maybe I thought and did too much research on my own. Let the next board figure it out.
Discussion over. Moving on, Administrative Finance Department, Board of Commissioners. Draft proposal, ARPA, committee motions. Brian?
I would recommend board to authorize buildings and grounds / parks department to accept the two proposals from the slide expert to repair and recoat the pool and water slide at General Square Memorial County Park per attached proposals at the cost not to exceed $86,000 to be paid from Fund 281. Essentially, General Square Park, the slide is 15, 18 years old, I believe, somewhere in that range. The slide and the pool need to be resurfaced to get the life expectancy out of them. We recoat these, we should get another 20 years out of them.
I'll support it.
You got a motion on that, Brian?
Yep.
Linda supporting it. Jarvis, you got a question?
We did have questions about references, and John Russell did some checking. You're comfortable with that? With the references?
You guys should have.
Yeah, we-
on the references that we present.
Right.
You guys should have that.
Based on that, you're comfortable with this firm?
Slide Experts is the company name?
Yes.
Okay, not a technical person.
It is a company name, and the ARP committee asked Buildings and Grounds to get some references for that company, and they did. So.
Any other questions? Okay, we have a motion. By Zender, supported by Jarvis. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Proposed personnel motion.
Oh,
Lenny, you
He's got one more. ARPA.
got one more.
got one more ARPA?
Make recommendation to the board to purchase a risograph digital duplicator from Toshiba for the county MSU extension office to promote recreation, 4-H programs, and fundraising events for the youth of Lapeer County at the cost not to exceed $3,900 to be paid for from Fund 281.
Support. I will say this originally came to that ARPA committee, and it was a much higher cost than we had them come back and look for some other options, and they ended up coming up with a much more reasonable request.
Okay. So you got the same motion? You gonna support it, Linda?
I'll support Schneider.
Schneider supported it.
All right. Got a motion and support. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oh, same sign, motion carries. Personnel motion, you added one to them.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the first one that's on our agenda, board last week moved it to this week only because part of the discussion was also approving the job description. So the job description has since been provided to us and included in your packet. Everybody's had a chance to see it. And so the revised language that the clerk has given me, which is just slightly different than what you have in your packet, which I'm going to make a motion now. Giving committee the whole last week the authority to act, so we have authority to act on it, will be To authorize community mental health to amend their table of organization to create and add one full-time data management coordinator position. Number to be announced, new pay grade 21, and approve the job description as submitted, as well as any subsequent vacancy should an internal promotion occur at no additional cost to the county general fund.
Support by Zunder.
All in favor of the motion, so say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
And then, Mr. Chairman, personnel met this morning to try and take care of this now while we have authority to act. So there's a vacancy in animal control, and in their, looking at their organization, with this vacant position coming up with a resignation, instead of seeking to fill the full-time animal control officer, they're requesting the change that I'm going to explain in this motion. It'll better meet the needs of the office and the general public, with this position being an animal intake coordinator position. And that will result in a cost savings to the county due to the difference in pay grades. So the motion that I'm going to be making, that came out of personnel this morning, is to authorize animal control to create one new animal intake coordinator position. The number to be determined, new pay grade 14, to be filled with either 2 variable part-time employees or 1 full-time employee if the part-time positions cannot be filled within 6 months, and to eliminate 1 vacant full-time animal control officer position, number 407, pay grade 15. And no additional cost to the county's general fund, and further to approve the job description for the said position, which is attached. And I realize that the board is not going to have a chance right now unless I'm going to pass around to you a job description, but personnel do get a chance to review the job description, make comments on it. So in essence, she's going to be making a slightly lower pay grade position that's going to serve her needs better as an intake position. And she's going to try and do it with 2 part-time people first. Not only does that save you with some benefits, but it gives you a chance to get eyes on with 2 people instead of 1 later on down the road. If you lose a person and they make a recommendation to the new board to make it full-time or whatever, they'll have a chance to see this person in action. So that's the explanation, that's the motion. I will make that motion tonight.
So is this position more or less to create like a person that's gonna be in the office at all
Yes,
times?
correct.
Because right now, from what I understand, it's just whatever officer happens to be there, so this is gonna make a permanent person in the office taking care of those things. Will they also be like assigning calls as well, or assisting in assigning calls when they get to the office, or not?
Yeah, I think that the main focus of it is to take care of the animals, to set up the adoptions, sell licenses, that kind of thing. But obviously, and central dispatch kind of dispatches them to where they need to go.
I figured, but okay, that's great. I'm actually really excited for that because I know it's been something that's been a constant issue having somebody in the office at all times.
So that's support.
Yes, support.
One difference from the original job description is this is a variable part-time or 2 variable part-time or.
I have a request. Quentin, I have a request for you. We had a conversation this morning about who can sign whatever for the county. I'd like you to do a little bit of research, maybe not a lot of research, but it seems like at Community Mental Health, somebody signed a triple net lease with the school, incorporating this board, or requiring the county to pay for a new roof and everything else on that. But I don't remember that ever coming before this Board of Commissioners for anybody to sign. I guess that but that board out there treating mental health doesn't have the authority to authorize that the way I read this thing.
Mhm.
So would you check on that? Because I think we have an illegal contract.
Okay, I can do that.
Would you do that?
The CEO of CMH is here right now. I don't know the history of when that lease was signed or how long it's been in effect. I do believe they've been in Maple Grove under the triple net for how many years? 5 or 6 years now. So
I just want to make sure it doesn't happen in the future if it's an illegal contract.
sure.
But I think it may be an illegal contract and we're responsible for a lot of money for putting a new roof on that school and everything else. I'm not saying it doesn't need a roof.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that shouldn't be done. But I just want to know who's responsible for signing contracts here. And I know I've been gone for most of the year, Brian, but I want some answers on a few things here.
Well, then you should probably look at the other illegal contracts. that
Well,
have been signed.
some of them should be.
Point of order, Mr. Chair, I think we still have a motion on the floor. Needs vote.
On a personnel motion.
Yeah, the animal control.
All right, animal control. We got a motion on the floor. In support, all in favor, so saying aye.
Aye.
All the same sign, motion carried. That brings us down to the second public time. Does anybody like to speak to this board during the second public time?
I said I would come back and finish. So here I am. I just want to finish in summary of my comments about the open investigation of election fraud. But here's also just kind of a general comment or statement. And that is, a good citizen questions leadership and holds them accountable. One of the many reasons why, Brian, I appreciate the many questions that you have, because I think it's very important. And while many of our leaders and elected officials are considered experts in their field, they are not above question. And I do appreciate their expertise, but again, they're not above question. And I just want to say that this is not a childlike temper tantrum because I didn't get the outcome I wanted. This is an expectation of our local government and our law enforcement to uphold the law. And I will end with this question. As a patient with a problem, would you question your doctor who is an expert in his or her field? Or would you accept everything that they said without question? Thank you. Merry Christmas, and you guys have a great new year.
Next.
Alan Pierce, Hadley Township. Thank you for coming back today, Mr. Roy, because it gives me a chance to personally thank you for the times that you have been here. You add some life to the party. You add some controversy to the party, but it's all good. That's part of that's part of a government. Everybody coming together and having differing opinions, but eventually, good should come from that. And I again respect you for standing what you feel on what you feel with the change of venue to Oakland County with services. And bringing that to a head, so to speak, and It is going to be passed on to the new board, and the new board, I'm sure, will do something. One way or the other, right or wrong, they will act on it, and they will do something. I do also encourage potentially the new board to do as partially as the sheriff said he did. And that was to go to the sites in question, to the Oakland site and to our current site, and be boots on the ground, looking at it. The only thing that the sheriff left out, I still, as a community member, as a citizen of this county, I don't know whether the sheriff visited our existing facility as he did the other 3 counties before he made the recommendation that he made. I don't know that. But I do have them saying that the sheriff has never logged in, came to their facility, and inspected them. I think that at minimum, as a citizen, that may have been an oversight, that I would have been a whole lot more comfortable giving him 100% of my support, as well as the prosecutor's support. I still have not heard that any cases have been lost due to any neglect by the current company. They just said there was potential. Is that secret information that we're not allowed to have as citizens, as taxpayers? What cases might potentially be lost because of something that they haven't done or whatever? That's all I've got to say. I'm going to look forward to being right here, first board meeting of 2023, as I have been for most of this year. This is where I learned. I don't trust the media to give me my information when I can hear some of it firsthand by coming here. Okay? No disrespect to the paper. But I hear things here, I see things here that aren't in the paper also. So, thank you all. Thank you all for your service. Welcome back next year. You are a welcome addition. I agree with the ladies. The questions are just things that I wouldn't have never thought that you come up with. It energizes me to do the same. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else like to address this board?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Steve Nieder, Chief Investigator with Medical Examiner's Office. I just want to personally thank each and every one of you for your time and service. It's very important for the county. I want to touch on one thing. When we talk about professional opinions, it's very important. It's relevant. However, the prosecutor himself has not had one conversation with Dr. Lapeer, not one. Never reached out, never visited our facility. And yet it's a professional opinion that these other facilities are better than ours. So I just like to leave you with that. I think it's good that we're putting some thought into this. It affects a lot of people, and we work very hard to provide the best service for residents of Lapeer County. So it's hard not to take it personal because I spend a lot of time with these families. So I thank you. I appreciate everything.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to address this board during the day? Wait just a second.
I wanted to be the last one. So I'm the last face you see at your last meeting. Hey, I just want to take the opportunity, especially you four in the middle. When I became a commissioner, you four took me under your wing and just taught me a ton of stuff about county government. And I just truly want to thank you guys for everything you did for me. I wish you all, including all of you, all the best. You know, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. I also want to thank Jackie and Quentin. You know, when they took over their positions, I was still the director. A lot of support and help with me, and I certainly appreciate that and wish you the best in your future over on the coast.
You got it, Dave. Appreciate it.
So,
Thank you.
but again, I just, you know, I couldn't not be here on your last meeting and say thanks to all of you, because I certainly appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. God bless.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that'd like to address this board during the second public time? Hearing and seeing no one, I'll close the second public time. We'll deviate a little bit today, and what I'll do is I'll allow commissioner reports, if you can report on things that you've done this week, if you'd like that. I know we're getting short here in the meeting, but. Brian?
I don't really have anything to report other than, it's been a pleasure working with you all. Best of luck. We know what Mr. Schneider's gonna be doing, spend a lot of time with grandkids. Congratulations to him. Gary, I hope your health improves. And I'm sure you'll be around and don't get too mad at the computer screen as you're watching the future board. Linda, thank you for all you've done. And Val, same, Brendan. Congratulations to y'all and several of you enjoy your retirement.
Thank you. Lenny?
Yeah, two things. First one is on this medical examiner issue. And even though it's been 20 years ago, I think me and Dial still remember what it's like to be sitting in that audience for a whole year before we actually took office, and some things we approved of and some things we didn't approve of, and a lot of things we just weren't really sure of. And I think you've seen that all of us on this board have tried to do everything within our power to tie up as many things in a neat bow for you guys as we possibly can, because it is huge. I mean, it's always been a fear of Michigan government, especially when you go around and talk to extension and MAC and stuff like that, of losing a large percentage of a board at once. Not only did that happen here in Lapeer County, but it happened to one of the most tenured boards of the 83 counties in the state of Michigan. So we knew what a huge leap this was going to be for all you to come on. I think we all felt obligated to you and to the citizens of Lapeer to do everything we could to try and tie up as many things as we possibly could to give you guys as best of a jump start as we possibly could, and hopefully we did that. On the medical examiner's office, we did do that today, and that's probably a good thing. Because even though I've expressed my opinion that my support is for those professionals that made their recommendation, and it has absolutely nothing to do with anything of cause with our existing, because I highly respect Steve. I think you could tell when you talk to him how much he cares, and how much, you know, they take that personally, and any of us would if it was our baby, if it was, you know, our business. And Dr. Mahabir has been great to work with. Again, I lean towards the professionals, but I don't want to assume that that's what you're going to do as the next board. And it's a whole lot easier to make that decision when you come on board than to have to undo something that we've done and go in a different direction. So as a result, even though this one wasn't tied up in a tidy bow, I think the board made the right decision today. That's going to be one of the things you guys are going to have to take care of pronto. And then as far as the appreciation tour goes, yeah, absolutely starts with everybody up here. I have immense respect for every one of my colleagues up here. And we agree, we disagree, we be disagreeable sometimes, but if love is too strong of a word for some, it's not for me. I love every one of them and the contributions that they've made to my life. I thank the staff as well. I have always been taught that if you have a really good organization, it's going to run well in spite of you, not because of you. And I think that's been true of Lapeer County government for a long time. And it's because if you have good leadership and if you have a good community that you draw from, and I think that's been the case with Lapeer County, and then you end up with good staff, and the job gets done by people with tremendous work ethic and tremendous values. And they're the ones that do the work. So when I look around at the staff, I'm appreciative of each and every one of them. I'm appreciative of Crystal and the paper. I've said that before. We're not a large community that has our own TV station or whatever. We can't afford to be doing community newsletters and stuff like that. So that's where you get the source of a lot of your information. And I remember a time long ago, and it's not just unique to Lapeer County, where the information wasn't accurate or wasn't. The paper has been extremely accurate, extremely thoughtful. I think they provide a very responsible First Amendment right to share information with the public and share it accurately. So, thank you for that. And then, you know, I look at the public too, and you're here for various reasons. Some maybe for entertainment. a lot of you though for education or for community involvement or for whatever, and I'm grateful for every member of the public that gets involved and comes to the meetings or gets involved in our boards and our commissions and serves their community in any way that they can. All the service groups that we have in Lapeer County, we're so blessed for. So we really do have a lot to be grateful for this holiday season, and it starts with each other. So Merry Christmas.
Well, I'll just say a few things. First and foremost, thank you all for putting up with me. You know, being a 21-year-old elected to a county board and some snot-nosed kid coming and tell you what ought to be done is probably not super easy. I'm sure I frustrated many of you. I appreciate the patience and the time you took with me and explaining things, and I hope that I was of some value to the county ultimately in my 4 years. It's going to be strange because the first time in my life I'm actually not going to be a public official as an adult. Because I was elected to the school board in 2016, I graduated school in 2015, and then I went from the school board to here. So that's going to be interesting not to have to worry about anyone else's opinions or thoughts on anything. So to those people who voted for me over the last several years now, thank you. Whether it was for the school board or for the county position, I really appreciate it. I appreciate you putting your faith in me as a person. To the people I've worked with, thank you. To the staff, thank you guys for always, whenever I have a question, everyone's always giving me an answer, including the staff that isn't here today. And also thanks for coming up and bringing things to my attention, knowing that I will take care of those issues or try to address them. I always appreciate being seen as someone who can be direct. So yeah, it's going to be different, but I'm happy to get out of public life for a bit, get away, and after over half my life being in politics, I'm kind of happy to be out of politics now. So thank you all for all you've done for me, and thank you all for being there for me. And I will say I will probably make one more irresponsible vote, because I feel like I made all responsible votes throughout my time in the county here, and I'm going to make probably one irresponsible vote at the end of the meeting. So keep that in mind. But thank you all.
Dial.
Well, so many of the comments have been made that I might have made, and I don't want to have to repeat keep everybody here.
20 years, you're entitled to it.
Well, I would thank my constituents for their trust and the opportunity. It's been always interesting, always challenging. I'm sure glad I did it, and I plan to keep my interest in what's going on in the community. I want to thank the board. This has been a good board over the years. I hope the new board is as blessed. Occasionally we get disagreeable with each other, but on the whole, we disagree about issues and not about personalities. And I think that's really critical. It's awfully easy in a small group to end up looking not at the important things which really revolve around issues, finances or policy or whatever you're dealing with, and to get sucked into personalities. And I'm glad this board has generally avoided that. And I remember many, unfortunately, COVID ended it, but I remember many times breaking bread. As I think I have suggested, it would be a good idea to get together socially after board meetings for the new board to get to know each other a little bit more. COVID changed the routine that we had for many years. I wish the new board best of fortune. One of the things I found out is we don't have a lot of control over what comes up. We get surprises constantly. I guess that's why we never get bored. You think you have something nailed down and something else pops up. So may your tenure be reasonably smooth, and I'm sure you're going to work towards trying to meet the interests and the needs of the people in the community. If not, the voters will remind you periodically. And I guess the only other thing I would say is, especially to every Christian here, have a great Christmas, full of the right meaning, not all the gift giving and the rigmarole of lights and stuff, action, but what the real meaning of Christmas is. So, God bless. Amen.
And I actually wrote something that I was gonna say, since my emotions always take over, and I left it upstairs. So, I did want to thank District 6 for electing me and continuing to elect me to represent them. It was an honor and a privilege to do so. With respect to the board, thank you for everything. The friends we've become, the family we've become. I hope we can continue to be together at times. It's meant a lot to me, and I respect all of you, and just wish you the best. And I too love, hug for you, the staff. I was also going to say that without them, I couldn't run. They are incredible, always there, always helpful, and go way beyond and above what they need to do. I wish everybody a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, the new board. I know you'll do wonderful sitting up here. I doubt very much if I'll be in the audience or even on watching YouTube. I think I'm going to take a break. But thank you for the kind words, Carol. It's always a pleasure, and God bless you all. And I'm sure I forgot, but some of it, but look.
Well, I want to also thank all the board members. I didn't get in this business until I turned 60 years old. That was back in 2006. My wife Mavis, who has helped me through this health issue last year, has been real special, talked me into doing this and running for county commission. When I got on the board, this county had money. We weren't in debt. When I'm getting off this board, this county's still not in debt. And there's money being left to the new commissioners, which is something that's not done in many counties, I'll guarantee you that. And with Jackie's help, for the last couple of years with Quentin's help, we have done a lot, or tried to do a lot for the people of this county and the people in our district and all that. And I appreciate all of you. I appreciate everybody that attends these meetings. I may be a little stubborn once in a while, but that's just my makeup. And I wasn't being personal this morning to anybody, but I just think research should be done. I don't think enough of it was done. And I know that because county government is so complex, it's sometimes very, very hard to do that. So I want to wish you all a Merry Christmas and say it's been a pleasure chairing this board, or being on this board, and helping Lenny and Dial and Linda work through what Lenny's always referred to as a Great Recession. My concern is that the new board may end up having to work through one of those again next year, depending on what happens. Because we have a government now that's kind of turned on the people, but that's just my opinion. Now, I'm not supposed to say things like that. All of you, you take care of yourselves, and I wish you and your families and everybody a lot of luck in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Need one more motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Supported?
In favor?
What's that?
Support.
Got a motion and support to adjourn. Meeting's adjourned.
Give him a chance.